All right, everybody, we are rolling along here with our buyout target series. Today, we are highlighting Kojo. That's Cory Joseph. If you don't know, now you know. This is Green with Envy. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into part 3 of our buyout target series. The days are dwindling here before the buyout market is going to go either nuts, going to shut down. We don't know what's going to happen. So we're here trying to hit up all of the targets that we think could be on the Boston Celtics radar. Of course, I'm your boy Will Weir checking in, and joining me, my podcasting cousin from across the pond, the lead writer for Celtics blog and leader of the Taylor gang. It's Adam Taylor. What's popping, Adam?
How you doing? How you living?
Living good, living great, baby.
Living good. Living great.
Living good. We're recording this the morning of basketball coming back, baby. We're back for the stretch run. So just real quick programming note, if you're listening to this right now on the same day that we release it, we're going live stream every Thursday going forward here, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. Come rock with us. Today, we're going to have you all set up for the stretch run. We're going to get some questions answered. So bring a friend, come join us. But every Thursday going forward, that will be part of the program. But today, this particular segment here, we're focusing on buyout targets. We've already done Danilo Gallinari. He's actually even off the board already. He's in Milwaukee. We did Otto Porter Jr. That was one a lot of people had some interest in. Very interesting to see what happens there. Today, we're going to the backcourt. So we talked about some wings and some kind of bigs in our first 2 series installments. Today, we're looking at the backcourt. And Adam, I'm gonna throw this over to you because I know that this particular guy, Cory Joseph, he's near the top of your buyout target list. So give me the case for Cory Joseph.
Yeah, so 15th man, I'm not expecting much from him. How's everybody doing today? It's morning time here, so you've got me with a little bit more of a pep in my step. Look, I'm not saying this guy needs to come in. I'm not saying I like Joseph as a replacement for Peyton Pritchard. I actually don't think that's the case at all. What I do think is when you look at this roster now in the depth everywhere, the backup guard position is kind of where you can't you hit a peak because you go Drew, you go Derek White, and then all of a sudden you've got Pritchard kind of on that slope down, and then there's nothing behind him, and now you need to start sliding guys down. You don't really have another natural ball handler of a guard size that you could slide in if there was an injury issue. Cory Joseph makes sense to me in that position. Didn't really get much time to show what he can do while he was with the Warriors, was behind Steph, Clay, Chris Paul. Um, Chris Paul. Yeah, I was right. Yeah,
Yeah, until he got
I
hurt.
got
Yeah.
really confused then. I was like, Chris Paul's on the Warriors. And then I was
He's
like,
still on
yeah,
the Warriors.
he is,
Somehow
yeah.
he's
He's
still
just,
on the Warriors. Yeah.
I think it's 18 games since he played last, fractured his, Chris Paul, this is fractured his hand against Detroit back in January 5th, if I believe. Sorry, just throwing out normal league knowledge. Yeah, so I think that's the kind of role you'd want from Kojo as well, right? You come into this Celtics team, you're behind Drew, you're behind Derek White, same as he was with Stephen Clay. You're behind Peyton Pritchard, the same way you were behind Chris Paul. And all of a sudden, now what you're doing is you're just being a depth guard. And I think in that role, where you don't have to rely on him, but you have him there if you need him, that to me makes perfect sense. If you listen to what Steph said after Kojo was traded to the Pacers, because he was traded to the Pacers and then the Pacers cut him, and the Warriors did that to open up a roster spot, which they've now filled with some two-way guys, like Lester Quinones got promoted.
Yeah, shout out to Lester.
So when you're looking at it from that perspective, he was just basically, they dumped him to open a roster spot. Indiana didn't need him, but he would fit well as that fourth guard in the rotation that doesn't really get playing time, but is a good locker room guy, reliable ball handler, can give you a little bit when you need it. I'm okay with that as a buyout market 15th man pickup, just a vet with some experience.
Yeah, this is the State Farm pickup, right? He's the insurance just at the end of the bench, and so for me, once again, let's just level set here with everybody. This is the 15th spot. It's very hard for this to have a strong reaction one way or the other. It's the 15th spot. It's very unlikely that whoever ends up in this spot is playing any type of meaningful basketball. And if they are, it's probably because something went really wrong. So in this scenario, when I look at Cory Joseph, like I said, this is the State Farm option here. He's the depth insurance, just in case you need him. And I mentioned this on the last one when I was talking about Otto Porter Jr. With this spot, the one thing that I do kind of look at as far as like who makes my top list is there a world in which I can envision for 4 minutes in a game 2, game 3, early on in the series, that you throw them in and they can hit a couple threes or they do something, just something that maybe can affect the game. And I don't think that's Cory Joseph, but that's okay. I don't think that's why you would sign him. I think you would sign him because this is a veteran guy that, as you talked about, he's someone that can steady the boat, right? He comes in, and if say there's an injury to a Drew Holiday or a Derek White, once you get Peyton Pritchard, who's going to get that opportunity and should get that next opportunity to step up, you just don't have anything behind that, right? So you want to have someone there, and this is a veteran. And so here's the biggest selling point for me when it comes to Cory Joseph is he's got 82 games of playoff experience from his time with the Spurs, with the Raptors, and with the Pacers. So he's got a full season of NBA playoff experience and got a ring with the Spurs in that to go with that as well, right? So it brings you a veteran presence where he's not going to be shocked and awed by, all right, I got to handle the ball and just get this team into some good offense and make sure that, I'm getting the other guys that are still healthy and still available to play, getting them into the right spot. I think that's a good role for Cory Joseph. Like I said, for me, the biggest difference is I think when I look at a guy like Otto Porter, health, we'll see what it is. And we'll talk about some other guys, in the later parts of this series, that I think there's a world in which you get their best version of them that you can bottle up. Now it's still a small chance, but you can bottle it up and you can throw it out there and you might just strike gold for 4 minutes. With Cory Joseph, if this team's fully healthy, there's no place for him. There's just not going to be an option. He's not a good enough shooter that, even though he did have 2 pretty good shooting years in Detroit before this year, in Golden State, where I think he was right around 40%. Yeah, 41% in 21-22. 38.9% in 22-23 in Detroit. So did have some good shooting years, didn't really translate to his minimal playing time in Golden State this year, but he's just not a good enough consistent shooter that he's going to find a moment where this is literally the definition of break glass in case of emergency when it comes to Cory Joseph. But as a 15th option, it's not bad. I think given a few other options that we could potentially be looking at, I might lean another way, but I don't think that this would be a bad move. And if you're going to fill that last spot, I'd rather go with somebody that has veteran experience over a vibes type of guy. Let's call it. I'll go veteran experience over vibes in this.
Yeah, and I think the way I'm looking at this final roster spot, I completely agree with what you're saying. There's guys out there that can give you a 4-minute kind of surge and change a game.
Not even that they can. There's just the potential of it, right? Because I have no idea if Otto Porter, we'll see what Gallo does.
I think if you give them enough games, you're going to get at least a 4-minute spark every 25, 30 games.
I just want to know if a guy can have a throwback 4-minute stretch. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's a really minimal ask, and it's also like a not a super likely thing to happen.
Yeah, see where I'm looking at things from a different stretch, where I kind of just want this team to pick up a guy that is reliable, that you can trust if you have to put him out there, because whoever you pick up with this buyout market is going to be somebody that you don't really want to be on the floor. They're always going to be an emergency guy. Otherwise, you would have traded for somebody if you felt like you needed a genuine rotation piece, and they did that. In Tillman, I think Springer's more of a develop for now and for the future type of guy. But what I will say is, when I'm looking at Kojo, it's if we need you on the floor, we can trust that you're going to give us a very specific and set amount of impact from A to B. From the starting moment you walk onto that court until we bring you back off the floor, we know that we're getting an okay level of production. We don't need you to be a scorer. There's enough scoring talent on this roster. We don't even need you to be an elite defender. There's enough defensive talent on this roster. We just need you not to fuck up. And I think when you're looking,
can you be steady? Can you be a steady presence out there? And I think that's absolutely what Cory Joseph would bring. And that's why, like I said, once again, it's the 15th spot. I'm not going to be upset with any, Brad can't mess this up, right? It's really just adding that depth piece in which way you want to go. But that's the selling point for Cory Joseph is he's safe, secure, reliable. If you needed to throw him in for 10 minutes of a playoff game because Derek White or Drew Holiday roll their ankle. Let's say they go game 7, Jason Tatum against the Heat. They roll their ankle in the first minute of the game. And it's like, all right, we need to have someone to back up Peyton Pritchard, and Cory Joseph would be a great option for that.
And that's kind of where I'm at. And if we look at, like, we got some stats here as well. So if we have a look here, I just want to look at his defensive matchups. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so everybody can see. So the site we're looking at right now is Basketball Index. Big fan of Basketball Index.
Yeah,
It is
Adam
a paid
showing me
site.
a little bit of this before we hopped on today. Big fan. Basketball Index. Shout out to you.
It is a paid platform. It's very reasonably priced. It's like $5 a month. If anybody's interested, you can go sign up. This is their player profile tool. It's one of their legacy tools. And all we're looking at is where Kojo plays defensively, who he usually matches up with, right? So because the way Boston play, your guards need to switch at least 1 through 3. Ideally, you want them to be able to switch 1 through 5, but you're asking a lot for any NBA player to be a genuine 1 through 5 switching talent. There's not many of them out there, despite what the media will tell you. But what I do like here is if we're looking at archetypes, so Kojo matches up with the primary ball handler. So if you're playing Milwaukee, he's matching up with Dame 12% of the time. So he's not really your primary point of attack guy. He's your next pass away type of guy, your secondary ball handler, the guy that's receiving that pass. That's where he's spending most of his time, 75th percentile in defending secondary ball handlers, 69th percentile in defending shot creators. Now that can come on the wing, it can come on the guard position. That tells me he can switch 1 through 3 quite comfortably. Slashers, I tend to look at 4s and 3s a little bit more. They're usually more athletic than just a standard shot creator. He's not being put on them. If we scroll down a little bit, we can go by position. And I've kind of like here, look, 24% on point guards, 44% on 2s, 11% on 3s, 13% on 4s. He can switch 1 through 4, not fantastically, but
yeah, I mean, he's only 6'2". There's going to be a certain limitation to what he's going to be able to do.
But he's going to give you some comfortability. And the reason I'm looking at defense over offense is very simple. I don't think Kojo's an offensive guy. I think he can attack a closeout and score from the floater. He's shooting around about 30% on 3s this season with garbage time filtered out per cleaning the glass. But there's certain things he can give you, right, like that are going to help. If we kind of scroll back up a little bit and just look at his perimeter shooting. Look, I like how they did a little poo icon too, because he's 38th percentile in 3s, 31%. Catch and shoot 3s, it jumps up a little bit, and that's kind of going to be his role if he's with the Celtics, right? It's going to be a catch and shoot role. You're not. He might bring the ball up, but he'll be deferring to whichever guard is available. Pritchard, White.
He's not really going to initiate. He might bring the ball up in a very traditional point guard sense, but it's immediately going to be initiated by Derek White or Holiday or Tatum or even Brown.
Even Brown or even Kristaps in a delay set or Horford. But what that means is his role is predominantly going to be catch and shoot. Now he's shooting it's still under league average marginally, but you're getting around about a league average catch and shoot 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
That's reliable as a ball handler that we've just seen can defend multiple different player styles and positions. And he can give you your primary offensive output in terms of catch and shoot 3s.
Yep.
That to me, on a vet minimum, from a guy with, like you said, with 82 games worth of playoff experience that isn't going to come in expecting to play, that's where the value is to me. It's kind of, he fits the system that you run. He fits the defensive system that you run, and you can rely on him to just be, as you put it, and very articulately, because I swore because I couldn't think of the right word. You can rely on him to be steady. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, Mr. Reliable, Cory Joseph. I think that would be a great way for the Celtics to go here. Like we said, we're getting down to kind of the nitty-gritty days here of the buyout market. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Adam, that a player needs to be on the roster or needs to be released by March 1st, I believe, is the deadline that we're working with for them to be playoff eligible. Not on the roster. I think they need to be released by March.
Yeah, it's
1st.
Like the buyout deadline is in.
Is March 1st. And then there's another, I think, deadline slightly later for being on playoff roster.
Yeah, you need to be on the team.
But yeah, so we're coming up to that date here. We're recording this on February 22nd. So we'll have a few more of these guys that we will hit before that March 1st deadline. And of course, as things happen in real time, we may have to jump in and react. There might be a sign, there might be a move. So if you want to be up to date make sure you're just following us across all the socials. Make sure you're hitting up at Green MB Pod. Make sure you're following at Adam Taylor NBA. Make sure you're up on the Celtic Chronicles. Get in the Discord. Jump into the Discord. Join us with a membership here on YouTube. You'll get some of these videos just a little early. You want to get a little sneak peek. You want to be a little bit ahead of the curve. You want to let people know about what's happening. Grab a membership. We appreciate all the support. Any other final thoughts we have, Adam, here before we send the people out?
Nope. I think that we're back later today. Then we're back again after the game. I will not be there. Will and Greg will have you covered. I will be here back on Saturday. No, we'll be back on Friday with another one of these buyouts. No, tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah,
so we'll be back tomorrow with another buyout. And then I will be back maybe with Will, maybe with Greg, maybe on my own with a guest on Saturday for a preview. We're trying to pump this up. So, let's just Joe Budden it a little bit. And until then, everyone have a good day.
That's right. We'll send you out of here some Black Sheep Optimists. This is our guy, Greg, and his band down here in Austin, Texas. We'll catch you later. Deuces.
Every time I get this high, I lose my mind. It don't take much no more until I hit the floor. Every time I get this high, it's you I find. It don't take much no more until I'm at your door.
You cut me to my core, baby. What can I say? You got me on the floor, you know I came to play. I know I shouldn't, but you seem to take my pain away. And every time I score, Jason Tatum fade away. I close my eyes and I'm floating your river. I call to see if you open, you know I hope you deliver. Every time you're getting close, I still be sick with the shivers. But there's nothing like